everybody. Welcome back to Gentlemen Prefer Cinephiles. It's Saturday, August, the second week of August.
Oh man.
How are you, Nick?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
I just got done helping out with this class over the summer, working with a professor as a teaching assistant, research assistant. It was a pretty awesome experience. It was tiring.
Yeah.
And seeing just how professors cram a 16-week course into 4 weeks or a month is insane. Like that's overwhelming. I mean, I'm just a fly on the wall in there.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of going, wow. But it was a cool experience. It was fun. I got to work with a great professor.
That's super cool.
Professor Amy Haynes.
Yes, we love her. Yeah.
And so yeah, it was a great experience just to be able. Amy passed on so much to me about the craft of teaching, the structure, how to get everything across, and just being able to watch her work. You've had classes with her.
Oh yeah, I
love
her.
But it's so much different because I had a class with her a semester prior, and then to be like the fly on the wall, and take it in and just watch how she does her job, and then to be able to get feedback from her and stuff to think about moving forward. It was hugely beneficial for me, specifically since
You're going for teaching.
I'm working to be a professor, So it was a cool experience. I liked it. It's over, which I'm not so sad about because the field work was intense. It was hot out.
Oh yeah.
And it was I
can only imagine.
You go home feeling like like a worn shoe at the end of the day. So
we love that.
yeah, it's great. But it was an awesome experience. So
actually,
cool.
that kind of ties into our topic because I always say you can tell it's an 80's movie because everyone is sweaty.
Yeah.
Like it's so weird. Everyone is sweaty, and it's only an 80's movie. Yeah, I'm like okay.
And nowadays you sweat in a movie, and they're like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?
Ew, what is
gross.
that?
Oh
Ew,
God,
disgusting."
get some
Oh no, actually, funny story though, really quick,
Yes.
under 30 seconds. I had a friend. She's a professional makeup artist,
Ooh.
and she did this film where it was like an indie film thing, and they had a ex Nickelodeon star, like kids star, starring in the movie, and apparently he was the worst diva.
Really?
Which I love that because
I wonder what show he was on.
Right, me too. I want to get his exact name from her, but she had to stand by him, and it was like an action movie, and every 5 minutes he would be like, "Spritz me," and she would have to spritz him. So it was
God.
yeah, and she was like, "Erynn, I'm so scared. I woke up the other night." And I just heard spritz, and I woke up in a cold sweat, and I was like, "No, Angie."
Jeez, trauma brought on by a Nickelodeon actor.
Right?
That's deep.
It's always like the not big actors that are the most like diva.
I would have started giving Nickelodeon puns to him, like, hey, could you spritz me? I'd be like, you can't do that on television.
Especially not on Nickelodeon.
I double dare you.
And then, one day you just have the spritz bottle and it's just green goo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got slime, fool.
You got slime.
In the face. Get the fuck off my set.
That is true.
Fire.
Oh my God, that would have been worth it.
I'm looking forward to having to deal with that element someday.
Yeah.
Have you, in your time as a director, producer, writer, have you come across a diva? You don't have to give me names, specifics, not even male or female.
I'm going to point our attention to the Director of Horror Stories podcast that came out right before Alfred August. We're doing a follow-up in August. I actually just recently had a really annoying diva / I'm saying man as a loose term. Men aren't bad. He was just one of those guys that was like, "You don't know what you're doing, little lady."
Oh, no.
God, he was so annoying.
One of those.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he texted me I didn't schedule a shoot because we were waiting on some people to give a preview before our end of August episode. That's Director Horror Stories The Return.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't schedule because we were waiting on some more actors for their schedules, which he can see because all the actors are in a chat together always.
Yeah.
And he emails me separate and he goes, "Are we doing tomorrow night?" And I said no, or I would have told you. Because at this point he's already pissing me off for other things that I'll go off into. I'll tell about in the other thing. But then he just goes, "Ugh." Okay. And I was like...
You want to text, are you pouting?
Yeah, I was like, "Are you pouting right now at fucking 4 a.m. while you're messaging me? Get the fuck up out of my face, bitch."
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was
at 4 a.m.?
It was literally 4 a.m. It was
God.
ridiculous. Yeah,
No.
and then he would always be like, "Oh, we need to move the light. Can we move the light? Do you need to move the light?" And I was like, Will you just focus on your acting, please?
Yeah, just act.
Can you just act?
Yeah. Oh, you know in the credits when that show up, director, that's my name.
That's my name.
Assistant director. Oh wait, you're still not there.
But yeah, I would say the most diva story is from that story Rob told on the Director Horror Stories podcast, where this guy was like, I need a contract, and like you need to make me look like I'm 26 in every shot because 26 is the. Oh my God, that's right. That's super funny. Nickelodeon. He said he studied with Nickelodeon. And I was like, yeah, bitch, me too, every night after school.
Yeah, that's cool. That's like, it's like saying, I come from a fine institution, Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, straight up though. It was so annoying.
Come and hang out. It's like, wow, dude, yeah, you got roots, dude.
Yeah, oh my God, it's so annoying. Yeah, but yes, you do run into a ton of divas.
Oh, good.
And I'm just starting in the indie film world too, because I'm in this world between student filmmaking and indie filmmaking, and I've recently been brought on as a producer for independent projects. And like, I can only imagine what that's going to be like in the next couple months.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm curious about it because I was talking with a professor. You and I had discussed it briefly about you helped me out. I was going to direct. You can help produce a documentary style film about the cemeteries in America and such. And the professor was all about it. She said, absolutely, let me know. I want to do it. So I'm like working on a blueprint right now.
Oh my God.
But that's the thing. Like I couldn't imagine like if I'm directing something. I don't know how. Yeah. Because military background, you know, when somebody gets lippy or something like that, you're like, hey, come here, let's go talk outside real quick, nut. You know,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you know, you walk them outside and you just go, hey, you know, I'm running the show, this is how it's going to be, you get on board or get the fudge out of here.
Yeah.
You know? And you straighten them out, but at the same time now we're like you said, you have to be careful because this is the arts world. It's about as far from a militaristic nature as you can be.
And I mean, like, there is a degree of that, you know what I mean? Like, I've definitely, like,
it doesn't matter.
had to do that.
I'll help somebody find their mind if they lost it. Trust me.
100%.
I got no problem with that.
Always this, like, hard conversation at the beginning of my, not hard as in it's difficult, but just, like, the hard truth conversation of, I'm the director, and we're collaborating, but just know I make final decisions, and you guys better get used to it, or...
And I find it interesting because the way you answered it is like a little bit of the way I was anticipating. You're a female director.
Yes.
And these are guys that are trying to tell you how to do your job.
Yeah, because a lot of times you get that, and you also get the guys that are like, are you sure you want to make that decision? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure you want it this way? Are you sure? Are you sure you want it this way? Are you sure you need to do that? Are you sure? Are you sure about this? Are you sure about that? And that's so annoying.
If you need that, just get into a relationship.
Oh my God, right?
You know?
Right? Straight up.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Are you sure? Okay? Are you sure? Are you sure? You know, are you sure? Are you sure? And I'm like, I guess I am sure, otherwise I would not have told you.
Yeah. Okay, because I know how you get. You don't know shit.
Yeah. Do you know how to blah, blah, blah? Yeah, so you do run into divas. But before we get into the 80s...
sharing that with me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh my God, of course.
Now I know how to act on
I'll give
sets.
you... Oh my God. Some guy was texting me.
I just want a small part in one of your films.
Oh my God.
I want to do like a small part.
I need to show you this.
Maybe I can be a bartender or something.
I need to show you this message because of that conversation we had before about I'm not gonna mess with her.
Yeah.
I need to show you a little screenshot really quick.
I did.
My friend
I'm not gonna mention my friend's name who was breaking my balls.
We re-uploaded.
Because if I do, I told him you know how to hunt.
Yeah.
So
I'll do it. We can talk.
You hear that?
We can talk.
You hear her, man?
We can talk. He said, oh, I was bitching to him about this guy, right? And this is another guy I collaborate with all the time.
Oh, not me.
Yeah.
If you're gonna bitch at me.
Yeah.
Not around me.
Right?
Don't go around me.
I was bitching about this guy to this person I work with a lot because he was like, oh my God, I hate men. And he was like, well, if you're not going to work with him again, then who's going to mansplain to you on set? I guess I'll have to step up. And I was like, try it and see what happens. And he sent me this picture of this dog that's really scared.
Cowering.
And it says, Erynn, you're using the wrong type of lens for that shot, quote, dead man.
Yep.
I was like, yeah.
Exactly.
You're right.
You try and get on this pedestal.
Right? So on the weekly show this August, it's been Alfred August. As you guys know, we've been covering a bunch of Hitchcock movies, a bunch of lesser known ones. But I want to know, Nick, what is your top 10 Hitchcock movies?
I think it's funny. I'm glad that you threw in the lesser known.
Yeah.
Because when I was listening to it, you were like, oh, these are my top 10 Hitchcocks. And I'm listening to it and I'm waiting. And I think there was like 4 or 5. And I'm sitting here just going, Erynn, where are these films? And you're just like, and that's 10. And I'm just going, who does she think she is?
Who is
I'm
this?
like, who? And
Everybody
so I remember
who-
I text you right away, and I was just like, you bet your ass we're talking Hitchcock at least briefly in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I
my
wanted to
thing
give you a
is,
chance to defend yourself.
well, I gotta say, I do like a lot of lesser known Hitchcock movies a lot, but also like, and it's not that like, Hitchcock is like Tarantino, where like everything is so good, but if I have to hear some douchey person in film school be like, Pulp Fiction is the best movie ever made because of the non-linear structure, I'm gonna lose it.
That's just about everybody.
Right.
I mean,
And then or like that asshole who's like, oh, Vertigo's my favorite Hitchcock movie because I just understand Hitchcock.
So that's one. That is one.
Vertigo's good.
But I'll let you get away with it just because I think anywhere you look.
Yeah.
And so when I was listening to your top 10 and I was hearing them, because I have a couple that are just huge to me, that are like in my top 5 almost.
Oh my god, nice.
But with Vertigo, yes, it's incredible, but any list, anywhere you go, online, look around, Vertigo's number 1.
Yeah.
And everybody leaves it, and it's just kind of an easy shoe-in.
Yeah.
So that's why I was kind of, when I was listening to it, and you were naming some films, and ones that some I hadn't heard of, some I had heard of and read into and watched, and I was like, these are definitely worth conversation because they absolutely get overlooked.
Yeah, 100%.
But then when you were getting down to number 1, I was sitting there and I was like, please, Erynn, don't say Vertigo. Please don't say Vertigo. Please don't say Vertigo.
And my number 1 is Vertigo.
You know, it's just like you're gonna shoot yourself in with every other person out there that takes that easy route.
Because it's like Hitchcock is also so dynamic and has so much.
Yes.
You know.
But what made me hurt?
Yes.
Because you're going down the list.
Oh, we gotta tell me which one.
I was waiting for Psycho. I was waiting
love Psycho.
for The
Psycho's-
Birds. I was waiting for North by Northwest.
I gotta say, all of those ones people talk about so much. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think they talk about The Birds.
Really?
Enough. I really don't.
That's interesting.
Now, I'll give you Psycho
I love
because
that.
Psycho
Maybe
can
we'll
be...
tack on an extra episode about The Birds with Nick for the week show.
The Birds is one of those ones that it always frustrates me because it is absolutely one of my favorite Hitchcock films, but I don't think it ever gets the respect it deserves.
The Birds came up a little bit because we were talking about Marnie and, you know,
I love
Birds.
I like Marnie.
Marnie is the pickup from The Birds. Let me tell you,
Yes.
I love Marnie, but that process of making Marnie was a shit show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So The Birds naturally came up there, but that's super interesting. Yeah. Okay. Tell me your.
I don't really have a top 10.
Give me some.
I just know that the ones that the few that I really, really do appreciate. Like you said, I hold The Birds up there in a very high regard just because I enjoy it. I want to say this way, Sabotage.
So yeah, Saboteur.
Yes.
Sabotage.
Sabotage.
Yeah.
Back in the day, there's one of
That's
his
the one
old
with.
ones.
Is that the one with Cary Grant, or is that the one with the B movie actor
It's
who's like in the?
it's like
the
a
World War II.
He gets framed for the whatchamacallit, this
old
smoke whatever.
black and white. It was like one of his ones from when he was still
His
in
friend
Europe.
gets burned up, and it's his fault.
Yes.
There's a bearded lady.
Oh my God, is that with the blind man? Yeah. Okay. Great. Lit.
So
that one's so
yeah,
good.
that's one of those ones. It's one of his originals that I
Well,
really
yeah, and
enjoy.
it's one where the wrong man stereotype really was, I think, fully fledged and fully like figured out by Hitchcock before he moves on to things like Vertigo and North by Northwest.
Yeah. North by Northwest is just one of those ones.
Oh.
But like you said again, everyone talks about it. There's really, and it's such a piece in film school too. It's essentially like if you're freshman film school, at least here, you know, in our curriculum, you're going to see North by Northwest because essentially it's one of those ones that's it's a great film, it's great how it's put together, but if you can get on how to unpack it, it's easier to unpack than some of the other ones.
Yeah, it's
just because there's the obvious MacGuffin, there's the obvious, you have the obvious MacGuffin, you have the obvious, there's a lot of stuff that you can tune into, so I enjoy it.
Yeah, Saboteur kind of feels like a North by Northwest light. Like if you like North by Northwest, you should watch Saboteur, you know? But yeah, Nick, I will say though, you should take the Hitchcock class when it comes out. It's coming up in spring.
No, I'm planning on it because we have the director series coming up, and
Yes.
after this semester, all I have is just my film classes.
Oh my God,
I have no
yes,
other
that's the
junk.
perfect time to do the film club.
I have no other stuff to worry about, so I have to do all like my 3,000 and 4,000 level film stuff.
That's so exciting.
Which is nice. But yeah, did you mention Rear Window?
Yes, Rear Window is actually one of the ones we're talking about.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because you were going through it and I was listening to him and I was just going, oh.
You're like, Walt's from Vienna.
And there were absolutely some I agreed. I'm glad you left a few of these off the list, but there were some that I was just kind of like, could you maybe.
Maybe next Alfred August.
Do it.
Wink. Just kidding.
So it is though.
Enough about Alfred.
Yeah, Alfred's great.
Everybody's gonna hear you talk about Alfred so much over the next.
Right? Yeah, no, that's fair.
Which is awesome. I think that getting Alfred from you specifically, these picks that people may have never heard about or they know the name and have never seen it. I think that's gonna really help pushing it out there and getting people to understand it's not just these couple.
Yeah, and I mean Hitchcock is dynamic because of those couple, that comes, his style comes to a head in a lot of ways. But seeing his process and seeing all the other films that made him a film director is also important.
Oh yeah, because just his body of work is just, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it'd be like a director is anyway. Getting into it, we may or may not split this up into 2 episodes actually, because we're talking about 80s and 90s movies.
Yes.
And Nick titled it 80s and 90s Potpourri, and
Yes.
I love that title.
Like I said, it's old school Jeopardy right there.
Yeah.
You're going through, I mean, literally, we're going through a smash bag of films here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, with 80s and 90s, just because I wanted to throw down films that I felt really, they generated stuff. I mean, when these films came out, there was a movement. Merchandising really started taking off in the 80s and 90s, because
It totally did.
in the 70s and into like the late 70s, we got our first bit. We were seeing some really incredible directors, but they weren't throwing anything that was, related. I mean, we saw like Scorsese's probably one of the more prolific individuals of the 70s, because we started really seeing like, Bad Lieutenant, Mean Streets, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, stuff like that.
Well, and it was when Scorsese, it was right when, because studio system had already been over at that point. And then you have this new independent film push, and it's called, people call it the film school generation, which I think is a pretty accurate.
Oh yeah, because the guys coming out of USC.
Because they're all coming out of USC.
Were just impeccable.
And they're making these really dynamic films that are really focused on, reframing what it means to be Hollywood cinema and cinema, but specifically American cinema, which is really interesting. And moving into the 80s and 90s, like there's just so much. And we talked about some of the episodes coming up this year are going to be more in depth with these. So today's or this week and next week's episodes are going to be dedicated to just kind of laying a groundwork for these films.
Absolutely. It's like a blueprint of what you and I really want to talk about going forward.
Yeah.
But I just kind of want to throw it out there because if folks have the opportunities, I mean, these are so, I mean, we're just going to go like year by year, 80 through 89, then 90 through 99.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are some that you can belt out in a weekend, a rainy day. If you got some free time, check out some of these. Some are seasonal. We'll mix them in with seasonal stuff later on.
Yeah.
Some are franchises. We'll mix those in with a franchise
They cover every genre, really.
Yes, and they just go everything. But the thing is that they really did something to define the year, to create a movement. And as I was alluding to first, in what we were talking about, like there in the 70s, you do have, like we were talking about with Scorsese and all these guys, that we're getting, pictures that have similar characters, the same actors, but it's not the same storyline, there's no relation. However, towards the end of the 70s is the birth of the franchise.
Yes.
It really is, because we get the first Star Wars. We get Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope comes out. Rocky
changes
comes
everything.
out, and these are genres. These not genres, but these are franchises that are still alive and kicking today. That just threw out their first piece there, and then they really capitalized when we came into the 80s, because that's when they started launching their sequels. 80s, 90s, and then we started getting reimaginings in the 90s.
And then at the end of the 80s, we start to get franchise films that mirror what we see now, and you get like the first Transformers, et cetera.
Absolutely, and I mean, we'll talk about that. I think it's in 80. It's in like 84 or something.
86 or 7.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Orson Welles directed.
His last movie role.
Which I thought was really neat, but we see the birth of the horror franchise with Halloween starts, and then when we get into the 80s, then we're jumping into Friday the 13th. We're getting Nightmare on Elm Street. So it's essentially this movement is born, and I think this is, to me, this is that turnover. This is that generation where franchising, the marketing, the absolute strategy of selling more than the movie, selling beyond the theater, selling T-shirts, backpacks, toys, crayons, making cartoons. I mean, anything and everything that they could do to get into your household other than on a VHS tape or on a movie reel, they were doing. So that's why
you get these two camps too of 80s, 90s movies, because you get, you know, cinema's kind of at odds in what cinema stands for society, because you don't have a hard and fast production code anymore, where, you know, you have a set idea of like social rules that need to be continued to be reinforced through film. You don't have that anymore. So you have, you know, you have films that are breaking barriers, but then at the same time you have like this really interesting morality thread going through of them. If we're talking Halloween specifically, like you see very groundbreaking storytelling and you know, violence is being shown in a new way to society and cinema. But then you have a lot of hard and fast sexuality rules that are being reinforced by these films. So you have like these, they fall into a really interesting place in terms of what it means, because I think cinema and media have always defined how our real world relationships are, because people go to the cinema to see how the world works, et cetera, et cetera. But I really think our modern relationship to cinema and our modern relationship to TV, et cetera, begins in the 80s in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, just because, I mean, you gotta think this is a generation where cable television starts to come in. We're starting to get more and more channels. We're starting to get movie channels. We're starting to get home HBO. We're starting to get the movie channel. We're starting to get Cinemax or Skinemax after midnight.
I love that. 10 out of 10. We're gonna do an episode on that. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah. You don't want to have to talk about those films. But I mean, we had others like on the USA Network.
Yeah.
You had Joe Bob Briggs Drive-In Theater. You had USA Up All Night with Rhonda Shear. We had Elvira.
Love Elvira.
You know, who's given us the haunted movies. We had one of my favorite things ever, Mystery Science Theater 3000, which I hope I can have a job doing that one day.
That would be amazing.
I was doing that when I was watching Cat on a Hot Tin Roof the other night. I was playing Mystery Science Theater.
Oh my god.
I'm like eating dinner and saying stuff in between. I think I called Paul Newman a pussy at some point.
Say that again?
I think I have a live show idea.
Oh my god, yeah, Nick, actually we've been talking about a live show in December, or November or December.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, if we go Mystery Science Theater, you know.
I just want to be a shadow to and just talking shit.
Talking shit about every movie we're watching. That's epic. But yeah, so we're gonna go year by year, talk about some movies from each year. Do you want to take us out, Nick?
And we'll go ahead and
start us off.
Like I said, it's kind of rapid fire. We're gonna rip through it there because, like as you alluded to, we're going to. I mean, of course, I'll mention the film and give a brief piece about it. Most likely, these are films that people have either seen or heard of, and if you haven't, you absolutely need to go discover it or its series. But if it's hooking up with a show later on, you know, we're just gonna kind of get you excited about that.
Yeah.
You know, get you a little hot and bothered, and then move on to the next one. You know?
The best way to describe it.
Yeah, we should call it like potpourri blue balls or something.
Potpourri blue balls? Yeah.
No, that's just too much. It's too much for the mouth.
I don't. Oh my god! I was like, let's shorten it. Let's anagram it. And then I was like, wait a minute. I get the joke now, and I'm back on the train.
Okay, so let's start in 1980.
Yes.
What a good year that was. I know a guy that was born then.
Oh my god, were you born in 1980?
I said I know a guy, Erynn.
That was so good.
You gotta be a dick.
I knew someone.
I said I knew.
Wasn't me.
If I did that to any other woman, she would probably panic.
Well, I was born in 45, so I don't know what you're even talking about. I'm just kidding. No.
God. What do you use for moisturizer?
You know, I don't use anything. I use blood.
Just the finest nuts and berries in Zamunda.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one.
Oh my god.
Yes, so 1980, as I said, in the 70s, you know, we're really getting shocked at the end of the 70s. We're seeing some chops in Hollywood, but in 1980, you know, in the past we had some good spoof films.
Yeah.
But then we were introduced to Airplane.
Airplane is so good.
Airplane, one of my, it's one of those great original spoofs. You know, it's kind of one of those ones I hold up there with Casino Royale.
Oh yeah.
Animal House.
Casino Royale is fucking crazy.
Yes, the legit. Yeah, I'm talking legit funny one. You know, with all those great actors in it and all the funny stuff. But yes.
I just love how what's his name? Oh my god, what's the main guy's name?
Peter Sellers.
No. no, not the main guy, sorry, the white hair guy in Airplane. Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen. Oh,
yeah,
I was still thinking Casino Royale.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Leslie
Nielsen.
Like, Peter Sellers was in Airplane.
No, he wasn't. I'm an idiot. I thought you were just talking about
It's okay. But Airplane,
yeah,
I love how Leslie Nielsen just didn't get any of the jokes, and that's where his amazing performance
It is. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Yeah.
And I love when the lady's going insane and everybody's just in line slapping the shit out of her.
That's literally, you want to know what it's like on a film set? It's that.
Really?
Somebody going crazy and everyone in line ready for a slap.
But no, I think one of the dark horses of that film is the pilot.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love the white hair pilot. And he had been in shows before. He had been in TV. I wish I could remember the actor's name, but it escapes me right now. But I love it when the little boy is in the cockpit of the plane, and he's just like, you ever seen a grown man naked? And he's like, do you like wrestling videos, Billy? And he keeps giving him these odd questions. You're just kind of going, what the hell?
You're like, what's happening? I also love the part with that little girl when the little boy comes up.
Yes.
I like my coffee like I like my men black. And it's just a really deep voice. I love that.
It's one of those ones where you can watch it and just over and over and over. And it's got Lloyd Bridges in it too. And Lloyd Bridges later on is in the Hot Shots spoof films. But this is a younger Lloyd Bridges. He's an air traffic controller. And it's a fun film, super funny.
Yeah. In terms of American style, it really resembles the 1930s screwball in like a new kind of way. So if we're talking 80s and 90s as, redefining American cinema and really giving American cinema more status, I suppose. I don't know if that's the right word, but taking 1930s screwball techniques where everything is just so farcical and kind of running with that to a huge degree is so hilarious. And I think that's also reminiscent of the next two films, Blues Brothers.
Oh yeah,
and Caddyshack.
Yeah,
Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers is great to see. I think is when we started seeing SNL kind of make its way over.
Yeah, that's
which
good.
They have, and I mean SNL that collaboration with actors from Saturday Night Live making their way over and getting. It seems now almost as like Saturday Night Live's an avenue to launching a solo area, whether it be in TV, whether it be in music or film or something, and they've given us some really good stuff over the years, but they've also given us some really bad stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Blues Brothers is one of those ones. It's an absolute classic. You have to see it. It's a great storyline, and it's a musical. I mean, it's a musical, and it has a ton of catchy tunes to it. It has a ridiculous amount of humor in it.
Oh my God, that rawhide sequence, for whatever reason, on my first feature film shoot set, like everybody was like, get him up, movement. I don't know why.
Because I love it when he walks in, he's got his suit and dark glasses. Well, we're the good old boys.
We're the good old boys.
We're here. What a fine establishment.
Oh my God, that's my favorite sequence in anything.
And it's great.
They're just singing rawhide over and over.
And I love how they go after they have the ordeal with the Nazi party the whole time because they're pissed off sitting at the bridge, and they did this poem, and the guy's like, hold your ground, and then all these Nazis are just jumping over into the water.
So good.
And they're chasing them. It's just neat. They get all these people, and then you end up with this amazing chase scene at the end. They get upstairs, and you have like the whole city of Chicago, the National Guard, everybody. And as soon as they sign the papers for the Penguin, the nun, the Penguin as they call her, and
they
have all the guns drawn down on their
Fun fact about her, she's literally the vocal coach in Singing in the Rain. It's the same actress.
Really?
And that fucking blows my mind.
So yeah, Blues Brothers it's one of those ones, and the thing that a lot of people forget about is it is a musical.
Yeah.
It has so much musical talent in it. I mean, Ray Charles is in it, James Brown is in it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there is a ton of musicals before this. Like there are in the early 30s and things like that.
There's your traditional musicals, like Oklahoma, sound.
Yeah, but I think the Blues Brothers,
Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, shit like
Jesus
that.
Christ. I love Oklahoma, but Seven Brides and Seven Brothers is where I draw a line.
And
anyway,
see, I'm the opposite.
But then
I am. Oklahoma, you can
turn on Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and you're like,
I do. I enjoy it.
I love it.
I like it. I like the color coordination.
You don't like oh
no. Oh, shut up. No.
Yeah.
No, not working for me.
Okay, we're gonna take you out on Oklahoma.
No, we're not.
Nick and I are gonna do an acapella. And we're gonna talk about the G.I. Joe movie.
Oh God. What are you trying to do?
What are you trying to do to me?
And I'll clarify. I saw that comment and it said G.I. Joe He-Man episode, which means the individual was referring to cartoons.
Yeah.
Not the shitty movie.
You mean we don't want to talk about the G.I. Joe movies that just came out?
The He-Man movie. And okay, Masters of the Universe. Yes, I almost put that on this list.
Oh yeah.
It's an honorable mention. Whatever year it came out, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it was neat for me. But then see Blues Brothers, the other one.
So good. I haven't seen Caddyshack. I've seen clips of it.
You haven't seen Caddyshack?
I haven't seen it all the way through.
All right,
I've seen a good chunk of it. I just won't say I've seen the whole thing because I haven't.
Okay, so the one of the best parts, it's Bill Murray. Bill Murray and Rodney Dangerfield are great. Chevy Chase is just this dark comic the whole time, and you pay attention to his dialogue, and you get so many snappy jokes that are just raw. They're ridiculous. They're so good. But Bill Murray plays the groundskeeper, and he's whacked out of his mind, and it's so funny because you'll see him tending to the garden or something like that, and he's watching women tee off, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you dirty dog, there you go."
Oh my God!
He's talking sex to these women. They can't hear him,
he's in the corner by himself. This guy's
so delusional. But Rodney Dangerfield in that one, he kills me. Just because his one-liners in the film just have you in tears. Anytime that he's on camera and giving you these one-liners, it's just absolutely hilarious. I mean, looking at he's looking at a guy, Judge Smell's grandson, he's like, "Oh, nice kid. Now I know why lions eat their young."
Oh my God!
He sees Judge Smales in the pro shop, and he sees a hat on a mannequin, and then he picks up that. He's like, "Who would buy a hat like this?" He's like, "What do you get a free bowl of soup if you buy this hat?" And then he looks over at Smales, and he has the hat. He's like, "Oh, but it looks good on you." He complains about the food. He's like, "Hey, the steak still got marks where the jockey was hitting it." There's so much stuff in there. That's just it's funny. It's great. We'll hit that one up in sport films. We'll talk about it because it's super good. Now let's franchising.
Friday the 13th franchising.
Friday
we did a whole
begins.
fun fact. We did a whole fun fact about the podcast. Listeners, fun fact.
Do it.
No, we did a whole Friday the 13th episode. Last Halloween, our special for Halloween was we watched every single Friday the 13th movie.
Jesus, there's like 20.
Yeah, it was wild.
I love the original. I mean,
it's so good. My favorite one is part 3, but Friday the 13th is very interesting too in how, because it's almost like it takes it, I see it picking up the reins in horror where Psycho left off, and you're running with it. Because Psycho, you have a horror film or a thriller. I think Psycho's a little bit more.
Halloween motivated it probably a little bit.
100%.
With the success it had with and Jamie Lee Curtis and. Because
you have this new type of woman's role, and I think Friday the 13th takes it a step further with. I would say spoiler alert, but these are 80's movies, so Jason Voorhees' mom ending up being the perpetrator this entire time, it's such an interesting twist for a genre like horror.
Which makes it it's kind of like the opposite of Psycho.
100%.
And so, which is neat. I like that dynamic of it, but I love bringing in a female killer. That early.
Right.
When it's still kind of unheard of. Having this female, moonlighting as a murderer, and you think it's her son the whole time.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it, Friday the 13th,
so
that's
good.
Birth of a franchise there.
And it's so good.
Oh God, yeah.
So
and then,
good.
of course, this is probably arguably, Shining's arguably like one of, there's a couple horror movies that I hold, like in the highest regard. The one that's like my all-time that I think is you'll never beat it is The Exorcist.
Really?
It's so terrifying.
I won't watch it again. Actually.
It is scary.
The first time I watched The Exorcist, I was at my cousin's house, and my cousin's stupid as fuck. But I was like really freaked out, and I was like, "Oh my God, I don't want to go to bed." And he was like, "Here, take the samurai sword." And I was like, "What the fuck is that gonna do?
What are you gonna do with a samurai?
What am I gonna do with a fucking samurai sword?" Yeah. Also, The Shining. I will say with The Shining, I love Shelley Duvall.
Yes.
Shelley Duvall makes the movie for me.
Yes, and if you watch that movie, it was very difficult for her to finish, to get through. Her and Kubrick were back and forth.
It was like almost like a Tippi Hedren Marnie situation.
Yes,
yeah.
And but I mean, when you watch that and you watch the story, I'm so glad that Kubrick did it.
Yeah.
So glad, because later on, if you know the story, like Stephen King was at odds with it.
He
didn't
pissed,
like
and
it.
then he made his own shitty film.
And he goes and makes his own shit one. And I remember watching it, and I remember seeing it, like, because in my day, you get the paper TV guide, and you could see a week of stuff and what's coming on the channels, and I saw Shining, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go watch this.
Yeah. And
I get in there, and it's this bullshit, and I'm just
there are a bunch of like creatures in the maze, and like it's all dumb. Because I think the problem is, because Kubrick, books and movies are different.
Yes.
They're different art forms.
They have to
express things different. And the means of expressing what you're trying to say is different, because it's different formula. So I appreciate Stephen trying to make a direct adaptation of his book, but it just really falls flat because he doesn't realize that it's a book and a movie. They're different.
Yes, and the thing is, if Kubrick hadn't made that, Stephen King's Shining would not be as popular as it is today.
I agree.
And even more so, if Kubrick hadn't made it and Stephen King went ahead and made his film, people would resent Stephen King more and would not like The Shining.
Oh my God, 100%.
Without Kubrick being involved in that, it is not the juggernaut that it is today.
100%.
Which is essentially one of the greatest horror films of all. It's so fun to watch, gives you chills. It's deep, it's raw, it's very edgy. The dialogue is incredible, the way it's put together. It's all Kubrick.
So Nick, I have to ask.
Yeah.
Are you excited for the sequel?
No.
Love that.
I'm not.
Me too. I read the premise and I was like, what the hell?
There's some things you don't mess with. And there's another sequel of something coming out to where I just went, why? Why? Why is there a part 2?
Oh my God, Halloween. Are you excited for the next 3 years?
No. I just don't get it, because you can.
Fair.
We're going to talk about that later on, because I think I put a show on there when it's beaten to death.
Yeah.
When to just leave it.
When can we just stop?
All right, let's get out of 80.
Okay, great. We're out of 80.
Let's get to 81.
Somebody is a year old.
I only had 2. Yeah, this guy I know. I think he's about 1. But 81 was like a pretty piss poor year.
Yeah.
But there were 2 films that stuck out there too. Another one is Birth of the Franchise.
I've not seen the Cannonball Run.
The Cannonball Run is great. It's got Burt Reynolds. It's got Dom DeLuise.
Well, I'm already sold if it's Burt Reynolds.
Freaking Jackie Chan. I mean,
Really?
it has an insane amount of star power. Insane amount of star power.
I love that.
And it's essentially kind of like a satire. There's a race here in the United States, an unsanctioned race that goes on every year, the Gumball 3000.
Oh, is this like Rat Race?
No, it's a car race. They depart from New York and get to LA as fast as they can without getting tickets. So the Cannonball Run is kind of like a parody of this, and you have people coming in from all over. And very funny movie. Very, very funny film. Not a lot of people have heard about it, but it is great.
I want a Cannonball Run with somebody.
You need to see the film.
That's a Gentleman for Cinephiles episode.
It's
the Cannonball Run in real life.
There we go. But down on them, the other one, the Birth of the Next Franchise. Indiana Jones. I mean, this is the first time
when you beat someone to death.
Yeah. Yes. Because Indiana Jones for me ended at the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
The 4th one. The last one that they made with Shia LaDouche or Boof or whatever the fuck his name is. I don't know. That really weird eccentric guy.
Shia LaDouche Boof.
Yeah, Shia LaDouche Boof. But they did it with him. He sucked in it.
Yeah.
And bringing aliens into it, I was just like, why? I'm sitting there just going, why? Why couldn't you have just let it be?
The Area 51 alien.
Yeah, and then, I mean, God, Harrison Ford's girlfriend, she looks like they wheeled her in and put a shitload of makeup on her.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, I was just kind of like, oh.
But I will say.
But I mean, the original, these are the first, Indiana Jones and then freaking Temple of Doom and Last Crusade, like.
Well, and Indiana Jones is interesting in how it
amazing.
redefines the noir for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the redefinition of the noir. And I know somebody, my ex-boyfriend, he will only watch Indiana Jones in black and white, and it's so interesting because it actually looks like straight up noir.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like straight up studio noir.
But this is one of those areas where like the franchising really started to kick in as well, because kids were.
You got every kid with a whip and a satchel.
Yeah, you got kids with a whip. They want the hat. They want to go adventuring. So and that's just that movement that has started. And then you we got Harrison Ford. We had met Harrison Ford earlier already with the Star Wars, starting up and everything in the 70s, and in roles before that. But then you take him from Indiana Jones, then you put him into 82 with this sci-fi thriller.
Why is Harrison Ford the franchise guy for everyone?
Is he not?
I didn't even think about it until right now.
George Lucas really didn't want him in Indiana Jones at first because of that. They were going to cast Tom Selleck for Magnum P.I.
Oh God! If you would have cast Tom Selleck,
that sounds so awkward.
Is Indiana Jones? That would have just been terrible.
There's a recording of Tom Selleck's read for it.
Oh God!
It sounds like a Dick Martin movie. A Dean Martin, a Dick Martin, a Dean
a
Martin
Dick
movie. My bad. Anyway, 82, Blade Runner. Yes.
Yeah, Blade Runner. I mean, if you haven't seen Blade Runner and if you're into film at all,
oh God,
you're
wrong. Don't watch the cut with the narration though.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh my God.
It's just it's such a cool it's a cool film. It's way ahead of its time.
Straight up.
For when it is. So definitely 1982.
Oh my God! Rest in peace to the man who played. What is his name? Oh my God.
Rutger Hauer.
Rest in peace.
Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
Yes, he just passed recently.
Yeah.
And that's what made me want to throw it on here as
Blade
well.
Runner,
But I mean, Blade Runner is just one of those originals
It's
that
excellent.
if you're a kid of the 80s, you have to see it. Then we get into, I know a later cast that we'll do is high school, college films and stuff, but Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with it. And it's not just a comedy.
Yeah.
It really, it's our first high school film that's really taken on some challenging stuff. You have, you have pregnancy, you have relationships, shit like that. There's a lot of dynamics going on in that film outside of that comedy.
Yeah, and the 80s is so important, especially for the younger generation, because I think you get more, because, before this, you have very, very hard to find, adult children movies,
Yes.
You don't get a lot of that in-betweenness.
There's no merge.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the 80s is really good with, the era of, oh my God, what's his name? I keep forgetting everyone's name today. He made 60 Candles in the Breakfast Club.
Oh, this is when we start seeing Molly Ringwald, John
Molly
Cryer,
Ringwald,
and we get into these.
Yeah. What is his name? Oh my God. I have a laptop right here. I could just check.
No, I know who you're talking about. But yeah, that's what we start to get into.
Yeah, you get a really important genre of film that's focused. John Hughes, the John Hughes era that a lot of people like to say it is. But with films like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, with John Hughes, which we'll talk about later as we go along, it's so important to develop films for those people in between.
Yes.
Where everybody can relate to it.
And that you're absolutely right. Anything before that, it's either very little about youth, very much about adults, adult situations, adult things going on in the adult world.
Yeah.
There's nothing discussing middle school, high school, college. No.
Because you get that. You have films like, the
Animal House, but it's a complete college spoof based in the 60s.
Yeah.
But otherwise you're right. You don't get that connection, whereas Fast Times presents, like I said, as a comedy, but then, we really get into the emotional aspects.
Yeah, and with this, I'm talking about American cinema specifically, because other countries and stuff, you get a good thread of youth movies, and that transitional period. But I didn't see that in American cinema really until the 80s. But yes, next.
Then you have I love Poltergeist.
Oh my God.
It's the first non-rated R movie that scared the shit out of me. Poltergeist. You look at the previews and you see it, and you're just kind of going, oh, this is harmless. How could this be scary? Then you watch it, and it will get your attention.
You know what makes it worse? The fucking crazy fucking scheduled shooting fucking set that Poltergeist was. All 3 parts. What kind of fucking franchise has 3 people die? You know what I mean? That's crazy.
There's barely any time to build empathy or anything.
Yeah, I'm I don't even know what to say about it because it's horrifying. Yeah.
But it's one of those things. I think a lot of people look at the rating and just go, "There's no way it's from the 80s. It's PG-13, I think." And then I don't know how. No, watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it, and then tell me you're not. That it didn't get you to jump.
It didn't get you at least a little bit. You know. Oh my God. Yeah.
And then look, we hit it again. We had Friday the 13th Birth in 80, Indiana Jones in 80. Now we have John Rambo. Rambo comes around.
Rambo is a crazy fun time.
and Rambo's still alive today.
Yeah.
It's still alive and thriving. There's another Rambo coming out.
I also appreciate, while, this may be a weird way to put it, but I appreciate how simple the formula is.
Yes.
And I think that's part of why it's been able to sustain so long.
It's very...
At the end of the day, it's super simple.
It is. It's just a displaced veteran. And we were talking about in our war series, you know, about... We got into it more when we were talking about Vietnam, about how you can take the person out of battle, but you can't take the battle out of the person.
Yeah.
And some people cannot function outside of that. And this guy's, you know, a nomad that's come back into society, has nothing, but then as soon as he's deemed or felt as a threat, or he takes action, and you find out really what this guy's capable of. Yeah. And you're just going, oh my. So yes, once again, we birth a franchise, and then 83.
Really quick, I have an addition. It's the Dark Crystal.
Oh, here we go.
Because with the 80s, you get this really interesting...
Didn't you do an argument about this between Dark Crystal and Labyrinth?
Yeah.
How did Labyrinth won?
I'm a Dark Crystal girl myself.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a Dark Crystal gal. Dark Crystal and Labyrinth and all these movies that are also popping up, you get this subgenre of American film that's very based in fantasy.
Yes.
And I think that's really interesting too, because I'm not quite sure. I don't quite have answers for it, but I think it's interesting that around the 80s you get fully fledged fantasy films where there's a degree of world building that wasn't seen before.
And Dark Crystal broke it.
Yeah.
Dark Crystal's the one. You're not, I would definitely agree that, like, you don't have Labyrinth, you don't have Never-Ending Story. Even nowadays, you're not going to have your Harry Potters and stuff. You're not going to have that without that coming in there, and without it gaining, without it, you know, being one of those, because it was one of those ones.
It was groundbreaking.
Yes,
you know?
and I had seen it when I was little, but it was more of a female draw to it. The guys were more drawn to Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Because Jennifer Connelly. She's smoking hot.
Yeah.
You know? So us little kids are like, who is this?
You were like, oh my god, I want her to be my babysitter.
I know. During this time, I went through several babysitters. I had Elizabeth Shue that I wanted to be my babysitter. I had Christina Applegate that I wanted to be my babysitter.
Adventure in babysitting.
Yeah, Adventure in Babysitting, which is on here. But yeah,
the Dark Crystal is super important. It starts off this trend of fantasy films in the 80s for sure, and fantasy films beyond that, like you said. So yeah, now we can go on to 83.
In 83, we were introduced to Ralphie and A Christmas Story, which to this day is probably one of the most iconic Christmas films ever.
I agree, yeah.
You can take Miracle on 34th Street and shove it right up your ass.
Well, I think it's a continuation of Miracle on 34th Street for sure.
And I never liked Miracle on 34th Street. Never liked it.
Oh my god, that's so funny. It's my grandma's favorite movie.
I would try and watch it so many times, but I'm like, no.
What do you got against Macy's?
I can always go to Christmas Story. And I mean, it's gained it's a cult film. It's gained such this popularity, this following, that you have networks that will broadcast it for 24 hours straight over Christmas. Which is funny you say that. So you're guaranteed to see it.
The next one too is National Lampoon's Vacation, and I think Christmas Story and National Lampoon hit that same cultural relevancy.
Yes, National Lampoon's Vacation was the one that summed up the summer trip. Yeah. When I was growing up, that was, people dreaded the summer trip. Like sometimes it was exciting, and you knew where you're going, but getting there and getting back was hell. Yeah. Because I mean, not a lot of people are flying. Everybody still wanted to go on the road trip. You know, let's just drive there. We'll stay and you get there. We're introduced to Clark W. Griswold and the Griswold family, and this film's so great because launches more franchise. Because yes, there are National Lampoon films, but the Griswold family we see in European Vacation, we see in Christmas Vacation, which we'll hit later on.
So good.
You know, but I mean, it wraps everything into what happens during a family vacation during the summer, and you hit the nail on the head. None of that is uncommon. None of it, because there are tens of thousands of people that go through that same shit every single summer. There's something that happens where you're just kind of going, why me? Why this year? Why is this going on? Oh yeah. But the elements of that film, just every bit of it, and Chevy Chase was just so huge. Late 70s, coming into the 80s, bit into the 90s. He was a rock star, super funny. Everybody says he's pretty hard to work with, but he's a funny guy.
Yeah, he hits his nose.
And then now we come up with
my god,
one of the most legit ass gangster films ever.
I love it. The world is yours, everyone.
Yes, you got Scarface. I mean, we were just slapped in the face. It did Brian De Palma.
Yes,
right?
Brian De Palma, yeah.
And that's another one of those ones, like if you want to talk anything about gangster film and you have not seen Scarface,
should come up.
you need to get your life
It's
together.
not his best performance, but it's a good one.
It is so good though.
It's so good, yeah. The whole world around it. Also, I'm gonna tell a funny story about my friend who is in Scarface.
Oh.
He's this cute little man, like so like Ivy League, you know, and his name's Felipe. And he comes in to audition for the guy with the chainsaw at the beginning.
Yeah.
And they're like, Felipe, you're too nice. What are we gonna do with you? Like you can't play this part. Just get out of here. And he was like, no, I can do it. Wouldn't it be hilarious having a nice guy come in with the chainsaw? They're like, okay, Felipe, whatever, do your thing.
Yeah.
Then he starts auditioning, and they're like, no,
Oh,
no, this isn't gonna work. So he voiced over the gay men on this TV. And they called him and a bunch of other guys in, and how they filmed the final scene was there was like a whole room of people with mics, and then like he was like, say hello to my little friend, blah blah, and they started shooting, and they were all like, into the mics, and that's hilarious.
But yeah,
It's so good.
We'll rip that one into our gang versus gangster.
Yes, 100%. Because
it's
such an interesting depiction of a redefining of. It's like a monkey's paw of the rags to riches stories that old Hollywood perpetuated, you know.
But it brings it into this modern piece of you know, this is when the war on drugs is starting to kick up, and there's still loopholes. So shortly after this, you know, Nancy Reagan comes out with her "Just Say No" campaign that doesn't do shit.
It's like she was in the room.
Yeah, I know. She's like, just say no.
Kid.
Yeah, and they come up with the DARE program and everything. But before that, there were the loopholes and everything. It was just showing like modern day. This is how you can exploit it.
And also, Scarface is very honest too.
Yes.
But yeah.
Very much.
I have not seen Strange Brew or War Games.
Okay, you need to get your stuff together. So, Strange Brew, I had to put Strange Brew on here. I was reluctant to, but my best friend, it's literally one of his favorite films.
Oh, really?
And so I was like, all right, dude, I'll put Strange Brew on. I was just thinking, because...
We love that bromance.
Yes. We know each other for like 20-some years,
really?
So it's like, I knew if I didn't put Strange Brew and he heard it, he would have been like, yo, man. Like, he probably would have had it sitting out next time I come to his house, just to be like, you seen this film? Have you seen this?
Have you seen it?
I'm just curious.
What is it?
It's really good. It's a silly film about like two Canadian guys.
I love
It's
that.
Rick Moranis and his brother.
Oh, Rick Moranis is so good.
And it's where you get the term "take off your hoser" and
gotcha.
stuff, and
Gotcha.
and they're just drinking beers all the time, and there's like a brewery involved. It's a dumb fucking movie.
Really?
But it's funny.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good.
And then War Games. War Games is a classic. I mean, this is Matthew Broderick. Very young. The computers. He hacks into the computers at NORAD, and the computer was like, "Do you want to play a game?" And they start trying to play a game, but then he finds out he's like looking up the games, and he types in global thermal nuclear war, and what he does is he actually turns on the computers at NORAD and gets them to point all their nuclear warheads around the world. And so it becomes this big thing. They have to find him. He has to get into NORAD to try and get this thing shut down. So he's in deep shit.
That's a cool premise, though.
It is. And so you absolutely should see it. It's on Netflix right now.
Oh.
So look it up. Check it out.
What?
Let's get... Okay.
1 second. I gotta know what I added.
What do you
this
got?
Is Flashdance.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Wanna feel it. But I think it's interesting because around 83 is when, you know, I think around, you know, right before the 5 of the era, you know what I mean? 85, you know, 75, 65, whatever. That's when you start to see the style of that era sort of develop in media.
Yes.
And Flashdance is just so quintessentially 80s.
That is the empowered woman's film.
Oh my god, it is. Yeah,
It is.
I was obsessed with it as a kid.
This woman, she's a factory worker. I mean, she's a dude.
Factory worker by day, dancer by night.
Yes, and I mean, you can take this woman who's, you know, this rough, sweaty, dirty factory worker, and then she's switching to dance clothes, and you're like, God dang.
Yeah, 100%.
Damn, girl, you clean up nice.
I do love how it's so multifaceted on the female level, but like also in terms of just like strictly like fashion and style, Flashdance was paramount to the 80s.
It almost paralleled like Madonna's coming up.
Yes.
In the way that, because when Madonna came out, oh my God, she did like
freaked
freaking
out.
like a virgin, and the next thing you know, every girl wants to dress like Madonna. They got the poofs, they got the glasses, they got all the regalia.
Oh,
It's insane.
And Flashdance, everyone was taking scissors to their sweaters, which, you know, in hindsight doesn't sound that important, but when something like that defines an entire generation of people, it's so interesting.
And you have people just searching for identity.
Yeah,
You know, and if it can be an identity that they can be comfortable in, go with it for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, God, I think I switched identity after every one of these years.
Yeah.
You know, when you
I
see
love
it. But now you're talking about John Hughes, this 84.
Yes.
84 was a year that pretty much, this year went nuts.
Yeah.
So you had 16 Candles, like I said.
So
we're
good.
introduced to Molly Ringwald. 16 Candles really set the bar because I remember.
It's my favorite out of all the Rat Pack movies.
Yeah, because I remember seeing like Pretty in Pink, and I was like, ugh. And then they started really getting in. John Cryer ends up in a lot of movies, and I'm just kind of going.
Really quick, I'm thinking of you as you are now, just in the 80s watching Pretty in Pink, not you as like who you actually were in the 80s watching Pretty in Pink.
These were, like you said, John Hughes movies were just getting spit out almost every year, and they had to do with high school emotions and this. But 16 Candles is one of those ones that it covers so much, and we get to meet like the character Long Duck Dong.
Oh my God, we love him.
Which now is offensive to people, like they are saying it's racist and they don't want him in movies, but it was so damn funny.
True.
I mean, you get that, and then another franchise kicks off, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Which is actually, to tell everyone now, that's our Halloween special this year.
That will be killer because Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger takes it to another level.
Oh yeah.
But again, now you get strong females again.
Yes.
You get, you know, he's trying, the guys are weaker in the film, they can die easier, the women are able to combat Freddy longer. So it's neat to see this horror genre when we're seeing a role reversal.
And also, I really love the idea, like, obviously, you know, we're going to do a whole big, long-ass episode about Nightmare on Elm Street that comes out on Halloween and all that stuff. But I love an active villain.
Yes.
Because, like, you know, you almost love Freddy Krueger. You almost you know what I mean?
I like the untouchability of him, though, too.
Yeah.
He's in your dreams.
Yeah.
How do you get him in reality? So, and that's the piece where they really got everyone, because, you know, like, with Halloween, it's like, keep an eye who's watching you. And then with Friday the 13th, it's like, don't be somewhere alone. But with this, it's, don't sleep.
Don't sleep.
Whatever you do, don't sleep.
Yeah.
And then often they do such a great job of showing, like with the dreamscapes, where you think they're woken up, but then they're not.
Yeah.
And they get wrapped into it. But I know you'll allude to it.
And with
more.
him, like, he, you know, just being such a vocal villain too is something that's so intriguing to me, because so many villains up until now, not all obviously, but so many have been so silent.
Well, they are, because Mike Myers doesn't say anything. Freddy Krueger, Jason doesn't say anything. You know, you're getting into these horror, and then there's nothing. But then you got Freddy.
Yeah.
He's got a mouth.
Bouncing off the walls,
So it's good stuff.
So good.
The other Bachelor Party, if you haven't seen Bachelor Party, you need to, because without Bachelor Party, you would not have The Hangover.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I mean, Bachelor Party, and it's wild. It's got
so good.
It is so much drunken, druggy, alcohol,
hot ass
farm animals, hot women, debauchery going on. It is insane. I mean, you have a donkey doing lewds and coke. So
we love that.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. And then, here we go, because we get into, we saw it a little bit in 70s. It started with 48 Hours, when you had Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte, and then we had another 48 Hours that came in the 80s.
Which he came from SNL, right?
Yes,
so
and it started to kick off this cop genre of where you have these action-packed films with cops that are funny as well, and that's when we get into the birth of Beverly Hills Cop, and we end up with, you know, Eddie Murphy, he's Axel Foley, his buddy's killed in Detroit, he traces it out to California, and we end up with like this knockdown, drag out, so much action, but then a massive amount of humor at the same time. In these films, sometimes like the story isn't too catchy, or you can get onto it, like who's doing what. but how they get from A to B, action-wise and comedic-wise,
Yeah.
is really impressive.
Well,
So
and it's nice to have better representation, and I say that as which this conversation will come up a little bit later with Coming to America, but it's nice to have minority representation that's not, I think Sidney Poitier is great, he's a really good step in terms of representation, but, I think it's kind of dangerous to be like, if you're gonna be a person of color on film, you need to be like perfect, you need to be like literally on the verge of getting a Nobel Peace Prize to have your story told. And I think Eddie Murphy is so important in representation, and it starts with things like Beverly Hills Cop.
And you're absolutely right, because in this one there's no inappropriate connotation to race or anything.
Yeah.
In 48 Hours, Nick Nolte is racist to Eddie Murphy. In The Heat of the Night, Sidney Poitier, one of the roles I absolutely love him in, other than Look Who's Coming to Dinner, but in The Heat of the Night, it's just freaking impeccable, but it's racist the whole time. So we're out of that element now. We're sitting here going, this guy serves, he's a police officer, he can go around, he can fit in, he can do what he wants, and no one's stopping him. Pulling that.
And it's also nice too, because it's like, as a minority person who ponders on the question of representation, I think the next step to that is, telling stories that aren't coded, not that experiences with racism shouldn't be, talked about. It's just, it's problematic for representation to suddenly be, if you're a Hispanic person, you can only tell stories that have to do with immigration and immigrants and like family and et cetera, et cetera. If you're a Black person, you can only tell stories that have to do with slavery and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah.
You don't know how to live in these sects of life.
Yeah,
it's
there's
like,
a multifaceted experience.
Let me tell you.
The experience of being a minority person is so much more than just like racism,
Absolutely.
But yeah.
So it's Beverly Hills Cop kind of starts that off, that funny, action-packed cop genre, and then Conan the Destroyer.
Oh my gosh.
Conan the Barbarian was earlier, and it had James Earl Jones in it, and
so good.
It was
love James Earl.
Like, it was good. It was okay. I'm just saying it's okay. To me, Conan the Destroyer was so much the better one. It was legit, and the other reason is the score. The music is so good, especially when he's ready to get into sword fights, and they hit that boom, 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 and he's whipping his sword around. Holy shit. Okay, so at this time, I'm at an age where I can, throw some shit around. I got my feet about me, I can grab objects and rip them around.
You're like, I've got my object permanence, and I'm here to fuck shit up.
And I'm pretty sure that year I was Conan for Halloween. And so I was walking around.
I need a picture of that.
No, you can't. I don't know if there is one.
That's
I think
so sad.
pictures of my childhood have been destroyed.
They need a Conan the Destroyer picture then this year. No,
but it was just, Conan the Destroyer, it was literally one of those ones, if it was ever on TV, I was in. I was watching it. I absolutely, love that. You can never get enough of it. And then after that, to jump off on your flash dance, you got Footloose.
Which is the dumbest premise I've ever fucking heard in my life.
It is the dumbest movie, but it is such a shitty film.
I love angsting to that one scene though where he's running around and like the...
Just because the worst part of that is when he comes running into the gymnasium, he's like, let's dance! And then glitter just explodes in front of his face.
I am obsessed.
And you're just kind of going, what the hell is going on? And you're watching him trying to teach his hick buddy how to dance, and he's like, ooh, dancing on farm equipment.
Yeah.
But honestly, if it hadn't been for some of these movies, like if it hadn't been for, Caddyshack, for Footloose,
you wouldn't have had your dancing chops.
We would not know about Kenny Loggins.
That is true.
Kenny Loggins, the only reason you know about him is because of the 80s.
Yeah.
And they're in 90. There's so many, I could start marking off films on the list and go, Kenny Loggins, I'm Alright. Kenny Loggins, Footloose. Kenny Loggins, Danger Zone. You get into all these freaking things, but yes, 80s Kenny Loggins. And then two films, let's go G&G right here. Ghostbusters
and Gremlins.
See them.
So good.
You have to.
So excellent.
Yes, and Ghostbusters, what a comedic crew that is, with excellent. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis.
Yeah. I will say though, I gotta say, I do love the remake of Ghostbusters.
Which one?
The woman's one.
I haven't seen it.
I love it.
I haven't. I have the first two Ghostbusters.
Really?
I love them so much.
It was one of the first times I have ever seen like women, how women and I interact on screen. But I always joke that like if it was like the woman Ghostbusters that came out when I was a kid, I would straight up be a ghost hunter right
You would.
now.
Because that's what we did, all of us kids.
Right?
I mean,
Oh my god,
we were-
really?
we were
Oh my
at
god!
the- Yeah, we would be at the toy store buying proton packs. We would have our tan suits on. That was our Halloween costume.
I need a picture.
No. Now, so Ghostbusters, everybody, it's so good.
So good,
affordable,
excellent. And
lovely
it's so,
film.
it's, honestly, it's so well done. The only thing that looks a little weird still is the claymation, but that's just because claymation looks
Yeah,
so
that's
weird.
just,
But it doesn't take
was
you out
as
of it.
modern
Rick
as you could
Moranis
do.
is also excellent in
Oh,
it,
yeah.
and also Sigourney Weaver, I'm obsessed.
She is hot in that. When she turns into Zool,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, take me to heaven, baby. Let's do it.
I see you going on a date with a woman and it turning out exactly like her as Zool at his apartment.
I may have one time before. Let's save that for another podcast. I've been out with a couple.
You've been out with Zool?
I've been out with a couple psychos. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
I
hilarious.
think I know. Nice,
I just see you in that situation, Nick.
nice guys finish last and they land psychos in the meantime. It's probably the best way to put the story of my freaking life. Enough about Nick's relationship. Let's move on to
We're not
Gremlins.
talking about the Rat Pack right now,
It's
Nick. No, I'm
bullshit.
just kidding. Gremlins, don't feed
But
Nick after midnight.
Exactly. No, you can feed me. I mean, seriously, I eat after midnight. My nightstand is full of
I
snacks.
love that.
I do.
Ladies.
I have to have snacks.
His nightstand is full of snacks,
It
ladies.
is. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean,
And he's a snack.
and I'm single. But I mean, you know how it is. You get into a session of heavy petting. You might
Yeah.
get hungry. You need a Gatorade
You might
in
need a
between.
snack break.
Read electrolyte
Girl, do you
replenishment.
need a Gatorade?
Can I get you something while I'm up?
Yeah.
Crank. Got your crank just swinging about.
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. That's so good.
Carrying a tray
Do
with no
something
hands.
Tray with no
Tray with no hands. That'd be perfect.
Holding the entire
But yeah,
side table that has the snacks on it.
Gremlins. The reason I love Gremlins so much is because of the story.
Yeah.
Who comes up with a freaking mogwai and comes up with these rules, and then but the best part is, in that film, without a doubt,
Yeah.
is the killing of the Gremlins.
Oh my god, yeah.
Specifically, the mom in the kitchen when she's
Woo!
microwaving them and putting them in the blender and juicing them, and so good, so good. So I enjoy that. Are you gonna make it? You gonna make it?
I'm gonna die.
Hold on.
That was a lot.
Yep. So now it's just Saturdays with just Nick. Erin's left.
Erynn has dead. Erynn has died.
Erin's on the floor struggling.
We
for
love
breath.
that show must go on.
It will. So then we get into the birth of another freaking franchise that drove kids my age
Yes.
nuts, and that is the Karate Kid. You don't sweep the leg.
So good. Windshield washer.
But I mean, you can't. I mean, it's great. It has a great villain.
Yes.
It's got Ralph Macchio the kid. It's got Mr. Miyagi, which became just a focal point in my young life.
Okay, one thing I love about the 80s though, because I'm a person who loves hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how the 80s is so dedicated to showing a bunch of montages of hard work.
Yes.
It's really funny.
We get great montages and we get shit ones too.
You get
but-
Footloose montages and then you get Karate Kid
Well,
montages.
Karate Kid's just so fun.
So
And
good.
once again, my beautiful Elizabeth Shue is in there. Is Ralph's girlfriend.
Aw.
If it was between, I
Your
would have
babysitter.
Yeah, I would have kicked the shit out of Ralph Macchio to get to Elizabeth Shue. Like, you crane kick me, I'm gonna punch you
The
in the
Karate
balls,
Kid.
dude.
Nick
Yes.
returns.
It does. And then this next one is
I've not seen this one.
The Natural. It's a baseball film.
Oh,
Robert
cool
Redford.
job.
We'll definitely talk about that later on, about sport films that make us
Sport
laugh
movies.
and cry.
Yeah.
This is
And no, we're not talking about The Blind Side.
no. I will not put The Blind Side.
I will
on
not
there.
put The
I
Blind Side
won't.
on it either.
The Natural, I absolutely will. It's a really, really great story. I'm looking forward to talking about that one. Never Ending Story,
Never
like
Ending
we
Story.
said. You said Dark Crystal, as we discussed, paved the way for it. We end up with Never Ending Story.
Once
Jennifer
again, you
Connelly,
get that kid's
David
perspective.
Bowie, Dance Magic Dance.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're introduced to like a creature, some dude peeing in a bog before she even gets in. So
Oh my god, yeah.
it's a fun adventure
Yeah.
if you're younger. Police Academy.
They just
starts.
had oh my god, they just had a really good release of Police Academy on Criterion.
Yes, and
So
the,
good.
now it turns into a big series. Me, I'm only a fan of the first one.
Yeah. I
And
think they released the first 3 on Criterion or something like that. But
I don't know. There's like 5 or 6
Yeah.
of them, but I'm only a fan of the first one. It's one of those ones. It's solid. Introduces us to Steve Guttenberg,
Yeah.
who becomes nuts in the 80s because he ends up in Batteries Not Included, Short Circuit. He just becomes like this go-to. But I enjoy it. We see Kim Cattrall and for the first time really, and for some reason over the next 30, 40 years she still remains hot and attractive. I don't know how she does it. I want to know her secret.
I also want to be hot and attractive.
I want to, whatever it is you're putting on your skin, let me know.
Let me know.
So yeah, I mean, Police Academy started up. I like that. Red Dawn.
Red Dawn, yeah.
Which is, it was a killer film. I mean, you got C. Thomas Howell, Patrick Swayze,
Just go to
Charlie
the first
Sheen.
one. Dude, the remake was pretty bad.
The remake blew.
Yeah.
The original one is the
So
shit.
good,
Wolverines, you know. And the thing is, that was filmed just south of here.
Oh, really?
So you drop into New Mexico,
Uh-huh.
right? There's Las Vegas, New Mexico. It was filmed there.
That
and
moment when you think you're going to Las Vegas.
Yes,
for
it's
your
not
birthday,
at all.
it's New
Las
Mexico.
Vegas, New Mexico is like a little 1 or 2 stoplight place.
Oh.
It's a sketchy place. However, that is where they shot
That's hilarious.
Red Dawn, and you can go downtown and see the whole historic district. It's the exact same as in the film. You can go to the
Wow.
hill that they were on when they shot Wolverines. It's all right there.
Wow.
We went through it. I found this out a few years ago, so I have visited there.
Oh my god, I love that.
Then we'll get into this one more
Revenge
in
of the
college, high
Nerds,
school.
yeah.
Revenge of the Nerds.
So good.
So good because is we're discussing, you know, the role reversal of men and female.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're taking this role reversal of jock and nerd.
Yes.
And you're letting the nerd be the one on top. And it's great. There's so much funny stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
I love that it's rated R. Booger is just violent. I love him. But I like the guy that plays the violin
Me
with the
too.
glasses.
Yeah.
Because I like when
That's
they set the cameras up in the
Uh-huh.
girls' showers. And they remember they're up all
Yeah,
night
yeah,
watching
yeah,
on the TV. And the guy with the glasses like looks at the screen and then he looks down at his package and he's like, ow! Because he's probably getting a And that was the part that made me laugh so hard. Because I'm like, this guy's getting a chub for the first time.
You're like,
this is great.
What is going on, dude? And then now we have Kathleen Turner.
Yes.
Romancing the Stone.
We talked about Romancing the Stone too in our last episode.
Yeah.
So everyone will know, but just once again, if you haven't, if we didn't get you onto it enough, see it. See it or don't tune in. No, I'm just kidding.
And then
Just
another
kidding.
franchise.
And then yes, another one starts, The Terminator.
Terminator.
This is when James Cameron pretty much showed up, kicked us in the balls,
And then
and said, "Look what look
ruined
what I
everything.
do." Yes.
After
But I mean, The Terminator. This is one where you have Schwarzenegger in a silent role. I'll be back. That's it, and it's so compelling.
And a line like that, it really
scares
sticks with you.
the shit out of you. I mean, I saw Terminator at first as a horror movie.
Uh-huh.
It scared me because I'm just kind of going, "Oh my god, how does it end? You've created something that it doesn't end." And then of course Terminator 2 comes on, and they create a different one, the T-1000 and whatnot. But yeah, Terminator. See it. Now we get into 85.
Oh yes.
Another franchise. Now we hit Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
You know, we're in with Marty McFly and Doc. We're learning about freaking, you know, all the just wild stuff. Wild, and it bends film. It completely messes with the space-time paradigm because we get it a little bit in Terminator, finding out these guys are coming back from the future. You know.
Yeah.
But now with Back to the Future, we're actively traveling back and forth. We're affecting it. There's all these rules. So I love how technical it is.
Breakfast Club.
After that, yeah, Breakfast Club.
Which also got a Criterion release with a bunch of footage
Yes.
that was unreleased apparently. But
Breakfast Club is now another one. Another one very funny, but gets into so many emotions. You know, I
Yes.
mean, it gets into all the different dynamics of these individuals, and we get to learn about each and every one of their lives, and we find that no one is similar.
and we're talking about relevancy, you know.
Yes.
I know a ton of, like, my little sister's in high school right now, and like her and a bunch of people in her high school still, like, it's something they still really connect with.
Yes.
And that's a testament of a good movie, you know what I mean?
It is nice. I remembered somebody had said there were no good movies made during the 80s, just The Breakfast Club.
Who said that?
I'm not going to tell you, but he listens to this.
Do I know him?
Oh, yeah. We both know him very well.
Robert? Are you kidding? He loves
No.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Just kidding.
And then because it's the next we'll get to it in a few, because I remember the first time I met Rob and he's like, there's nothing good during the 80s. Well, there was the Breakfast Club, and I was like, excuse me.
Why did I hear him say that? Like, I feel like that's not the only time he said that.
No, he says that.
This
and
is
then
crazy.
so Breakfast Club, we know why it's legit. Fright Night.
Yes.
A legit
Fright Night is
killer.
Such
a good horror movie, but it's one of those ones that you can laugh at.
Yeah.
Like if you're one of those people that likes that weird horror that they do things that you can giggle at.
Yeah.
You really do. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, that's sick," but us, we're like, "That is some funny shit."
And that interplay between comedy and horror, like I think it's a really important note to hit because that's when things get really scary.
Yes.
And
that's so get into it. It's a vampire movie. It's killer. It's funny. And then the Goonies. Goonies Never Say Die. Goonies is by far in my top 10 all-time films. It's by far one of my favorite films.
Really?
I can watch Goonies anytime. I could probably say it line for line.
Oh my god.
I've seen it so many times. I have a Goonies.
Cyndi Lauper?
I have it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good enough for
Yes.
you. Good enough. Yep. And everybody thought she says good love, and it's like, no, she says good enough.
Oh my god,
I get it. I love it. You can't go wrong with Goonies. I go on about Goonies for days.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I just saw that Pee-wee's Big Adventure was on the list.
I did. I put Pee-wee's Big Adventure on there. How could you go wrong?
I've not seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
It's the only decent movie that Pee-wee made. It is so stupid.
Is it a Tim Burton movie?
I don't know, but it
was the start of Danny Elfman's music career for films.
Really?
It's a fun film.
Yeah.
Just watch it.
Okay.
Specifically the sequence when he wakes up and you see all the little gadgets going off in his house to make breakfast. It's pretty much a kid's play.
That's iconic.
And then you close out 85 with Weird Science, which it's a go-to. Kids on a computer create a supermodel that adores them and does everything they want. How could you go wrong? Then
shenanigans.
Yes. Then we get into 86. 86, you're smacked in the face with Aliens.
Yeah.
Me, I'm not a huge Aliens fan, but I appreciate what it did.
For horror, yeah.
For horror, for Sigourney. Mainly space horror, because what it did was making space scary, I think, was a good platform for some films later on that were horror films, like Event Horizon and such.
Well, and you see this fascination with space before the 80s. That's from a very distant kind of place, except for some for B movies and things like that. But as you get into the 80s, there's kind of a new approach to the rules of space, I guess.
Like it doesn't have to just be this exploration or this cowboy Indian kind of thing like you get with Star Wars and such. It can be something scary. And Aliens does that. And I think they do an even better job is when you capture horror in space, you're in space. You're in a box.
Yeah.
You're restricted to just this little area and you have to survive in it. It's not like being on Earth.
Yeah.
So that comes into it. So yeah, you gotta appreciate Aliens. Crocodile Dundee. I mean, come on, that goes without saying.
100%.
If you have to at least see the first one. The second one, you might not like it that much, but the first one.
You might not have to see the second one.
No, you don't need to. But I mean, the way it does, there's so much comedy in that. I get a kick out of it. Then we get into
Back Again.
The freaking
Ferris Bueller.
Yes, the ultimate. Like one of those skipping school, how do I get out of school films.
Yeah, I really like it, but sometimes I can't watch it because Ferris Bueller is such a little asshole.
Yes, he is.
That it just pisses me off and I just get secondhand annoyed.
That happened to me when I was watching Burn After Reading.
Really?
With Brad Pitt.
Oh my god,
Because
he's such an asshole.
With Brad Pitt in that film, I'm like, God, I hate you. I'm like, I hate you.
And then you start getting frustrated and you're like...
And then you can't enjoy that's the thing, because I thought Burn After Reading was a cool story, but I thought Brad Pitt, that character, I'm not saying he ruined it. I'm just saying the way it was. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying the
why
way.
Are you playing it so
the way
well?
it was put out there, I was just kind of like, this is an annoying character.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Yeah,
I get this way a little bit with Ferris Bueller, but yeah, it's so important to have that perspective.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like Ferris's sister, and you just want to kick the shit out of him.
Beat him up.
But it's a good one. And then, of course, one of the guy classics, Highlander.
Highlander, yeah.
You can't go wrong with Highlander. We get to see some cool, crazy, out of this world shit.
Oh, yeah.
And we get to get on this new thing. I loved it in Talladega Nights. how they refer to it, and you got the French story. He's like, I saw your Highlander. It was shit.
It was shit.
And Ricky Bobby pops. It's good. So I mean,
I'm Ricky
I
Bobby.
love
If you don't
Highlander.
chew Big Red, then fuck you.
You don't chew Big Red. Fuck you. I love that one.
I've not seen Iron.
You don't want to. I threw Iron Eagle in there. It's one of my personal.
I wasn't expecting you don't want to see Iron Eagle.
It's an airplane. It's a movie about airplanes.
That's my favorite genre of film, Nick.
Okay, cool.
I'm just kidding. Airplane movies.
It's one of those ones that's like so unfathomable that me being growing up around the Air Force, and this movie's based in the Air Force. This kid, Doug Masters, a high school kid, somehow can fly in fighter jets with his dad. Like his dad sneaks. So all this shit is unheard of. Like it would never happen. And somehow this kid, with Louis Gossett Jr., who's called Chappie in the film, his dad gets shot down in some foreign country overseas in the desert, and then somehow Doug and his buddy Chappie get their hands on a couple F-16s and fly over there to rescue his dad.
Oh, okay.
And you're just kind of going, no, it doesn't work this way. But it's funny because I will watch that over Top Gun, which is past. And then after the Eagle, I mean, we had Labyrinth.
Yeah.
We touched on that, and once again it falls in
100%.
with your great observation there. Then
Maximum Overdrive.
I love Maximum Overdrive.
I've not seen Maximum Overdrive.
It's Stephen King film.
It is.
He got it right. It is so good. There's like this weird thing that happens with the planets, and satellite signals are blocked out, so the machines take over.
Oh.
It is so good because in the beginning of the film, like you're watching the ticker in New York, and it's like saying all these things, and then it's like, fuck you. It starts popping up. And they're in
I love that.
This guy's like at an ATM, and
that sounds like a good version of a Black Mirror episode.
It's like, go fuck yourself. And then they end up getting trapped in this truck stop. And it's got Emilio Estevez in it, and they end up trapped in this truck stop, and the trucks are running themselves. So they're keeping the people trapped in this building. You got lawnmowers chasing kids. I mean,
I love that.
It's all over the place. So for like so many hours, the machines take over, and their intent is to kill people.
Jeez.
So watch that.
Okay.
After that, Stand By Me. It's one of those ones that's it's probably one of the better stories ever told in film. It's narrated by Richard Dreyfuss, and it just talks about these 4 young boys. It's just kind of like a coming to life story.
Gotcha.
That are out they go out on an adventure to see a dead body.
Oh.
And they come up, there's all this dynamic that goes on, but it's just 4 boys going around.
Oh man.
And so it's very, very, very great story. The Money Pit with Tom Hanks
seen The Money Pit
and
either.
I think Diane Lane, they just move into this big shitty house, and one thing keeps going wrong after another.
I love that.
So it's a struggle of their relationship with the house, but it's just a great film how everything keeps going wrong. Then Three Amigos.
Oh my god, I gotta tell you, my grandparents love the Three Amigos.
You have to.
They love it.
Three Amigos is so good.
It's so cute.
Great trifecta. It's a musical too. That's nice. It's a bit of a musical.
I think it's adorable.
But it has some very, very good comedy in it. It's fun stuff. And how they're oblivious to what's going on. Top Gun.
Top Gun.
We won't
go without saying.
Yeah, fucking Top Gun.
Yeah.
I knew I'd get shit if I didn't mention it. But yeah, Top Gun. Pretty much every kid had a boner to be a fighter pilot after that. They were like, give me a flight suit.
Which I think is so funny that all these 80s movies are like, why are there so many airplane movies in the 80s?
Yeah, that's the thing. It just takes off.
Yeah.
Aviation really gets going. And then what we talked about a little bit earlier, Transformers, the animated movie, which was huge for a kid because I was so big into Transformers, and now we had a Transformers movie.
And you were like,
and it's Orson Welles.
Yeah.
And at the time, I don't even know who Orson Welles is, but then to come find out later on this was something he created, that made it super exciting.
Yeah.
And that closed out 86, you get into 87.
Adventures in Babysitting, it comes back.
Babysitting. And that's a good one because it's a very correct period piece about if you're a kid and you got a babysitter, these are some of the wild times that can go on. But with these ones, it just goes
off the wall.
And then after that, you follow Full Metal
Jacket, which is so good. You can watch our Warren film episode where we talk about it more in depth. But
yeah, the Full Metal Jacket's in there.
So good.
As a Latinx.
La Bamba, another one my grandparents love.
Oh yeah, the story of Richie Valens. I mean,
so good.
You can't go wrong. Lou Diamond Phillips
crushes
it.
Such an excellent, 100%.
Super good film. I love his brother in the film. It's good. And then
Lethal Weapon,
now
another
we end
series.
up with that. Oh God, Lethal Weapon.
Beat to death.
So. No, I love Lethal Weapon, but you've seen Lethal Weapon, yes? Mm-hmm. And so when somebody says, "Man, I'm getting too old for this shit," that's the response, isn't it? And who says that? Danny Glover.
Yeah.
So get this. Film class last week. Sitting there with my buddy who's in the Navy, right?
What film class?
This one.
Oh,
Film 1000.
Okay,
Film
yeah,
1000.
okay, good.
Sitting in Film 1000.
Yeah.
It's Choice Week. We watched Fight Club the week before. So we watched this film, Sorry to Bother You. Cool film. I had never seen it, never even heard of it. But we sat there and we watched it. It's got Danny Glover in it.
Oh my God.
So my Navy buddy, you know, this guy who's a veteran as well, we were sitting in class together, and you got the whole auditorium, Rob's over on the other side, you know, and we're kind of sitting here, and we see Danny Glover. And me and him were like, "Oh shit, Danny!" And everybody's kind of looking at us like, "What the hell?" Except for this one other girl, this gal who I met, young gal, I think she's like 21, and she's in communications. And I keep persuading her. I'm like, "You need to come to film," because she's one of those. She's too smart for communications. This girl's brilliant. Sammy is her name, but brilliant young lady, writes impeccably well. Her film knowledge is unreal. Like she could sit here and drill down. She's 21 and could drill this 80s list as we are.
Yeah.
You know, and so I mean, impressed. But she's so sold on communications. I keep telling her. But she's over there. She's like, "Danny Glover," and she knew it.
I love that.
Well, then you get to this part in Sorry to Bother You, and they're talking about Danny about work, and he walks away. And he's like, "Man, I'm getting too old for this shit."
And everyone's like,
"No, me and the Navy guy and her were like, ah!" We're laughing so hard. Rob looks over at us, and he's like giggling too. Then everyone else looking at us going like, "Why? What the hell is wrong with you guys? Like, why are you, what is so funny?" And so that's why I'm just like, how have you not seen Lethal? How do you not know Danny Glover's contribution?
Have you seen a terrible series, Badasses?
Nope.
Don't watch it.
I won't.
It's bad. It's bad.
But that's just a funny thing. We'll talk about it more during the film school thing. But that was one thing for me. I freaked out.
I'm always surprised at what people haven't seen in film school.
Yes. Oh God, we'll get into that when we talk about another film down the road too. I got another good story for you.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
So cute.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's another travel story. Steve Martin with one of the greatest rants ever.
I really like Steve Martin a lot. Yeah.
When he gets out, "I want a fucking car with 2 fucking doors and
yeah.
And then the lady's like, "I can't help you, sir."
I will say, I think it came out in the 80s, but it's a runner-up with Steve Martin, I think. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, yeah, that was 80s as well.
Yeah.
Because I love it when he plays Ruprecht.
Yeah.
And he has the patch on his eye, and he has the cork on his fork.
Fucking with her, yeah.
He's like, "I'd like to go to the bathroom." He's like, "Go ahead." He's like, "Thank you." He just shits his pants right there.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that's good."
You're like, great.
So I love that. After that, now you have
Predator.
Predator, killer film. Absolutely killer film. We get Arnie, we get a ton of stars in there, we get some great one-liners, but it makes the jungle terrifying.
Yes.
But it is one of those benchmark films. You have to see it, anything from the 80s. And then another Schwarzenegger film after that, The Running Man.
I've not seen The Running Man.
Which is neat because it's a game show of life and death.
Yeah.
You essentially get put into things, shot into this world, a gladiator-like world where you have all these different characters coming at you, trying to murder you. And you're trying to survive and get out. So naturally, Arnie kills everyone in a creative way.
Me too.
And then, of course, they cap off 87 with Spaceballs.
Which we will talk about.
Yes.
We're doing a 2-parter on Mel Brooks.
Yes, we'll get into Mel Brooks, but if you don't know Spaceballs, don't know me. Let's get into 88 and talk some bees.
Yes.
We'll go. So first,
Beetlejuice. I am unashamedly in love with the Beetlejuice musical that just got the release on Broadway.
Ooh. I think that would be interesting. I'll have to look into it.
Some really good lighting and sound. Like I don't know the music. Okay, but I'm into it. But Beetlejuice is excellent.
It is. I love it. And then after that, we get into Big with Tom Hanks.
Yes.
Which is just huge. A role reversal of adult and youth, and we get to see what we could do. We get to imagine that life of if I was grown up, what could I do? What
Which
could
is
I get away
interesting
with?
because there are so many films from the child's perspective that Big being kind of like the getting towards the end of the 80s.
It was a neat kind of fantasy world to go into of God. What if I could be this adult for a day?
Yeah, 100%.
So that was good.
I haven't seen Bloodsport or Bull Durham.
Bloodsport, we're introduced to Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh
it's one of the wildest.
Fucking God.
Yeah, you get to see the repeat roundhouse, which is introduced, where you see Jean-Claude Van Damme roundhouse somebody 10 times over. It's where they do the cut, rewind, and just wah, wah, wah.
Oh my God.
Until he finally lands and you're on his face and he's like, ah.
And you're like,
they got this thing called the Kumite where you come to every year. It's this life and death battle.
There was this one Jean-Claude Van Damme I saw, and he throws somebody into a brick wall, and the brick wall like gives, and it kills me every time.
Oh jeez.
Because I'm like, a brick wall is gonna give. Who made it?
And that's why I say Bloodsport is such a good one. It's an introduction to him and what is about to happen with Jean-Claude. Because every single movie after that follows the exact same pattern, and you know exactly what's coming. So that's good. Bull Durham, I'm definitely gonna hit that in the sports films.
Yes.
It has Tim Robbins in it from The Player. Okay. He plays a young pitcher. Kevin Costner's like the older catcher. Great baseball film. Super funny. Susan Sarandon's in it. He plays a huge part in it. We're definitely getting into that one and stuff. And then, one of my favorite franchises, and I think, as you alluded to earlier, Freddy Krueger being a talker. Yeah. Now we get Child's Play. And we get Chucky. And Chucky's got he's a silver-tongued bastard. Yeah. He has got some of the most legit lines.
And a twist on that innocent kind of figure, like a child's toy, you know?
Yes, and that's what makes it so scary. That's we're like, wait, this good guy doll can come to life and it can talk like that. But I just love Chucky's dialogue. Yeah. I've always been a fan of it.
So how are we feeling about the new one?
We'll see. Usually, it's kind of like with these, I was going with these franchises, I kind of stop on them. Yeah. I don't indulge the new stuff, but we'll get into that. Yeah. Later in a later episode. But I just kind of I leave it alone.
Apparently, it went into this long, a very explanation of how Chucky could exist, and everyone was like, "Why do we need that?" We're like, "This is fun disbelief." You don't need to reasonably explain to me why it comes to life.
And they don't want to, but I mean, that's just. I've always enjoyed Child's Play. I love the dialogue. And then we get into a really great gang film, Colors, with Robert Duvall, Sean Penn.
Yes.
Both as cops in LA, and we get to go through a very, very real portrayal of Los Angeles, inner city LA at the time.
And it's not anymore. It's not like organized crime anymore. It's gang activity.
Exactly. We really get into gang activity. We get to we start to understand the red and the blue, the division between African American and Hispanic. We really start to see these and how the cops have to operate within it. So. Colors, and I love the soundtrack. I love the Ice-T's Colors is such a killer song. I can bang it anytime.
So good.
Super love it.
Oh my God.
Colors, and then after that, now you got Coming to America.
She's your queen to be. Queen to be.
I love it. I think
one of my favorite sequences in anything.
Just because it's so unexpected. There's this elaborate, organized dance, and then this guy just gets up there. All serious, and then he just starts singing.
I love Coming to America.
I do. I am partial to. I love the barbershop scenes.
Oh my God!
Just the barbershop arguments are great. The several parts that Eddie Murphy plays in there. Arsenio Hall plays parts in there.
Have you met Sean Forrest?
No.
He's a film lecturer, and he always does that bit in the credits when he's like, "You're trying to soup.
Yeah.
You're trying to soup.
Yeah.
You're trying to soup. Where's the spoon?"
It makes you cry. There's so much stuff there. I love Sexual Chocolate. Yeah. Him always.
And you get, the other thing is, I think Coming to America is so good in terms of representation of women, of people of color, et cetera, et cetera. It's just hits, and it's also funny and something everyone can relate to.
Oh God, yeah, and there's so much in that movie just to laugh at and just go over. It's wild. I enjoy it. And then here we go, franchising again. Die Hard, which also we will discuss in the Christmas episode.
Love Alan Rickman.
Die Hard is one of the best Christmas movies ever.
I gotta say, I didn't like it as much the first time I watched it, but the more times I watch it, the more I'm into it. And it's very interesting, because I didn't really like it the first time.
Yep. And I mean, and one thing is like the second one and the third one, you can enjoy as well. I think the second one is really good. It's a heck of a lot more edgy. It's got more action in it.
And Alan Rickman is such a good villain too.
Oh God, he is.
Yeah,
yes,
so
he's a vicious little villain.
Oh yeah, I've not seen The Great Outdoors or License to Drive.
Okay, yeah, because that's why I made a little note. The Great Outdoors, John Candy, Dan Aykroyd.
Okay, we love. We're sold now. That
John Candy taking his family on a vacation up to a cabin at the lake, and then Dan Aykroyd's like his yuppie cousin, brother-in-law, something like that brings his kids up there with him and his yuppie wife, and it ends up just going into this quagmire, and it's wild. John Candy ends up fighting a bear. I mean, there's a lot of neat stuff goes on, but it also his kids are going through some of that coming of age. Summer vacation kind of stuff as well. So it's neat, but above all, super funny film. And you have, what is it? Captioning for the raccoons. So the raccoons have dialogue in it, and you get to see what they say.
I love that.
They're on the trash can complaining about the trash, talking about how their choice for the evening is bullshit, and how they're upset with the family staying at the cabin. So it gets to be
me if I was a raccoon.
Yes, and so I don't know why I put this on there. License to Drive, just because I wanted to warn people. I think I put this on there as a warning.
As a warning. It says, just so everybody can know, it says in the notes here for the episode, the fucking Coreys.
Yes. Corey Haim, this is when Corey Haim and Corey Feldman became ridiculously popular.
Oh,
because
gotcha.
In License to Drive, they're like underage kids, they get a license, they go wild. This spawned off so many shitty B-style movies that were only on network, and the Corey Haim or Corey Feldman were always in. I mean, we're talking about like
do you have the Lost Boys?
Yes, we're talking about like stupid shit about guys on like a rollerblading film. You can't make a film about, oh yes you can, with the fucking Coreys you can. So yeah, they become these cheese dicks of the late 80s, and they both end up whacked out on drugs. I think one of them's dead.
Oh my God, that's, wow.
So avoid it, don't put yourself through it.
Don't do it.
And then, oh God, such a good franchise to close out The Naked Gun. Now we get Leslie Nielsen as Lieutenant Frank Drebin. And we have one of the funniest cop spoof movies ever that launched two more.
It's funny how it
hilarious.
Almost bookends, like with Leslie Nielsen, almost bookends the 80s.
And it's just so, you cannot go wrong with The Naked Gun. There is so much funny dialogue in there. You have got to be paying attention. Then we can close it out. 89. I threw Batman in there because this is the resurgence. It's Michael Keaton.
And it's really where superhero movies start to get their modern footing.
Yes, and because before that, all we had was Adam West and guys running around in purple tights and everything back in the 60s. And it was good, but it needed an update, and this did it.
Yeah.
Everything that followed this was horrible.
Really?
Horrible until we got to our recent trifecta.
Really? That's interesting. I do like Danny DeVito.
I like the second one. The second one's good with Penguin, and you still had Michael Keaton.
Good, because I was gonna kick you off the pot. No, I'm just
Is that what's gonna happen? Is that what's gonna happen? She's lacing her boots, folks. You want me to tie those for you?
Yeah. You can do that right before I kick your ass.
Stomp a mud hole in you?
Yeah. You want me to tie those for you?
I think that the first and second one were good. We had good villains, we had solid acting, but
I do agree.
Once Michael Keaton was out of it, and we went, I think it launched into like another 3.
I don't know what the fuck that mess was with Poison Ivy.
Yeah, you had
What was that one called?
It may have been
Batman and Robin.
Did you know, Batman Forever.
They almost got Nicolas Cage. They had one after another Joel Schumacher one.
It was gonna be a Superman movie in the same universe.
It was gonna be Superman.
Yeah, Cage was gonna be Superman.
Cage was gonna be they were gonna do another. They were gonna do another Batman where Cage was Scarecrow.
Oh.
Yeah, they had like another like Batman where he was
And it
scared.
wouldn't work.
And they were like, fuck no.
Yeah, it would have sucked because you get the two with Michael Keaton and they're good. But then after that, there's this abandonment and they suck for so long until we get into our Christian Bale Batmans.
Yeah.
Which
they're
are
a hate watch, but
they're so good.
Yeah.
I mean, those three are so good.
Oh my god, I'm house sitting right now at a house where they have a 4K TV, and those films on 4K are insane.
Really?
Crazy.
I'll have to check it out. But so I had to mention Batman because it was bringing that subject in and it brought it back strong. The Burbs, one of my favorite films with Tom Hanks. It's great.
Yeah.
The Burbs is short for the suburbs. It's just about a neighborhood, and these weird neighbors move in called the Klopeks, and they think they're burying bodies in their backyard.
We love that.
And it just becomes this massive comedy about the neighbors trying to figure out who the hell these Klopek people are. It's so good. It's hilarious. Watch it. Dead Poets Society.
Oh, I love Dead Poets Society.
People, yes, everybody enjoy it. It's good. Robin Williams. It's a fun film.
I gotta say though, it's kind of like a Vertigo though, where like a bunch of assholes are like, Dead Poets Society taught me about life, and it's so annoying.
It is. It gets to it, but it's a neat.
But it's excellent.
It's kind of neat working up to it. You're right. It gets to that point, but it's
excellent.
fun.
But people
it's
like
fun to work up to it.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite Spike Lee films, Do the Right Thing.
A Spike Lee joint.
Yes, Do the Right Thing. You can't go wrong with it. There's so much.
Every level so well, from the visual to the dialogue to the escalation.
Absolutely.
It's just excellent.
It just knocks it out of the park. And then after that, you'd have Field of Dreams, which we will definitely talk about in the sports series. I will do my best not to cry. Because that is I will not lie, that is the first sports film that literally I wasn't like bawling, but I mean I was sniffling and there were tears running down my face because I'm just like, oh god. It's just at the ending. At the ending I just go, oh. I can't help it. We'll talk about that.
Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights with Eddie Murphy. You can't go wrong. Eddie Murphy, you got Arsenio Hall.
Icon.
Good old Red Fox is in there. You got Richard Pryor in there, but you can't go wrong with Harlem Nights. It's super hilarious.
So good.
Then this next one, I just watched it. Heathers.
You did? Oh my god, for the first time?
Yes.
Oh my god, isn't it crazy?
It is so good because this is the one I was going to tell you that I was going to be excited to tell you about too because I was like, if you have not seen this, you must.
Oh,
because
it's so good.
I was like, this makes Mean Girls look like My Little Pony.
Straight up.
And I thought Mean Girls was stupid, but this is how I like to see the ladies go about it.
I also like the musical of Heathers that just came out.
It's just incredibly.
But I think it's interesting already defining that student genre that we were talking about, the high school genre, getting like already a gritty like redefinition.
This nails. I think the reason it doesn't get so much talk about is because of how heavily it weighs on suicide.
Yeah.
And I think that's, and it takes it to a level of parody as well, to where people are being framed with suicide, and then there's actual, and so this back and forth. I think just that subject matter, I think at that time was maybe still a little taboo. For folks. So I think that's why it doesn't get a lot of the attention it should.
Yeah.
But my God, the dialogue in the film, especially between the women. I mean, when you got one gal looking at another, and she's like, "What are you fucking with me? You pulling my dick? What are we doing here?" And I'm just like, she just said what?
She's
and I was loving it. I was just like, this is great.
You're like, do you want me to lace up your boots for you?
And it made me just love Winona Ryder so much more.
So good.
I was like, this woman.
Excellent.
So that Lean on Me, just such a good Morgan Freeman in it. It's a great school film. Just watch it.
So good.
Absolutely. Then another one of my favorite. Major League. Probably like one of the cool spoof films. The second one wasn't that good, but the first one was it's killer.
Yeah.
It's so damn funny. You have to.
I love how we're talking about so many baseball movies too with sport films. Because baseball's the one sport that I'm kind of fluent in because I did it for so long.
Well, baseball
before they kicked me into softball.
It's one of those ones because like football movies become more funny because you get like Necessary Roughness, you get the Water Boy, stuff like that. You know, they're just haha. Or you have to get into something really, it's a deep emotional thing like remember Titans, Blindside and stuff, which I don't really like. I don't watch. I really don't get into. But I love the spoofs. I
just
love
like
the
making fun of The Blind Side. I'm sorry.
I know. It's
I wasn't laughing at what you said. I was just giggling at The Blind Side.
It's fun, and then of course that year our next
come back around.
our Christmas triumph of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation,
so
arguably, I mean by far the
And
greatest
honestly,
Christmas comedy of
another
all
movie
time.
that just stresses me out that sometimes I can't watch because it stresses me out so bad.
It does?
Yeah, it stresses me out so bad.
How does it stress you out?
My family sucks. And so I just think of that and I'm like, oh fuck.
I watch it and just laugh. My sweet little niece, she just turned 7.
Oh,
She
like it?
loves Christmas Vacation. It is a go-to for her. Like she is
love
absolutely, she's like, Christmas Vacation.
Christmas
right?
Vacation.
And she's like, I love Clark Griswold. she gets it. She gets the comedy,
I
which
love
is
that.
fun. So great film. Next, Roadhouse.
Uh-huh.
Super guy movie. Roadhouse not only is Roadhouse, it's aka Roundhouse because we get to see Patrick Swayze roundhouse the shit out of everything, but what's even cooler,
80s and roundhouses.
We get to see him rip a guy's trachea out, which I think is one of the coolest things. The guy comes across the lake and he roundhouses him and he does this move and pulls his whole throat out, and it's pretty damn cool.
And
So,
every kid in the '89 was like throwing away their
we were
Indiana Jones whips and trying to learn how to rip tracheas out.
Yeah, because at that point we had seen Temple of Doom, so we
Yeah.
were done with trying to pull people's hearts out of their
Yeah.
chest. So we were like,
We were
let's
like,
try
why
and
not
pull a
just the
trachea.
throat?
Yeah, let's
Was
just
that
trach
like a
him.
Return of the Street Fighter moment too?
Oh my
Yes.
god, it totally was.
It was, because that's huge. We'll get into that in our martial arts film series, because Sonny Chiba films were absolutely nuts about this crazy violence of like pulling parts and things out of people and killing them in the most vicious of ways, but love it. Turner and Hooch, Tom Hanks crushed the 80s and 90s, I'm not gonna lie. Turner and Hooch is funny, just Tom Hanks is a cop, Hooch is a dog. It makes for a really fun story. So check it out if you like that feel good. It's a good family film if you want. Uncle Buck, John Candy film, super hilarious. He comes to watch his sister's kids, and it's got a very young Macaulay Culkin in it.
Yeah.
Which is just another, I love it. I love how John Candy threatens the daughter's boyfriend with an axe. It makes it so much fun. But it's good. So you have Uncle Buck, and then the two that kind of close out the 90s for me, Weekend at Bernie's. Everybody knew about Weekend at Bernie's.
Good.
It's just funny, carrying
Just such
a
an
dead
interesting
guy
premise
around.
too, yeah.
Yeah, let's just hold this dead guy around for a little bit, get some attention.
Get him around.
And then, God, you can't mention the 80s without saying When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, this is before Meg Ryan's face was stretched.
You're right.
I mean, yeah, and probably like one of the coolest orgasm scenes with her in the restaurant.
10 out of
It is
10.
so funny.
I'll have what she's had.
I'll have what she's had. So then that's the 80s.
That is the 80s. The poopery, the poop of the 80s.
Yes, that was the 80s. That's the 80s, and we did it over an hour.
This
is going to be
over an hour.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be.
So we're just going to wrap up here, and we will see you guys next week.
We'll have to do 2 episodes,
for the poopery of the 90s.
Because we can't rip through the night. I don't want to.
I want to like speed through the 90s.
No, and I don't. I mean, there's like
somebody was 1 year old.
There's 5 or 6
in the
people.
90s.
Yeah, there's 5 or 6 people out there listening to us that want us to take our time in the 90s.
Yeah.
5 or 6, maybe 7.
5 or 6, maybe 7.
I don't know how many people watch this.
what? No, just kidding.
I only have YouTube. I don't know what goes on the other platforms.
Our other platforms do way better than YouTube.
I figured.
Yeah.
I figured because
For all 2 of you out there.
Yeah, because I look on YouTube and I'm just going, how many people watch this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, 1 is mine, 1 is Eryn's,
One is me.
1's Evie's.
That's 3 views.
I'm like, so that's
it
3.
It says there are 4.
And shit, I logged back in, so I did it again.
Son of a bitch, I had to refresh the page.
Yeah, so I never know.
It added a view.
No, I think, it's you hit the nail on the head. We do 80s for one, because our 90s has more, and we have more to talk about.
100%.
So let's do that. I mean, why would we rob our listening populace, the individuals we love and care about so much? I don't want to screw them in the 90s. I want to give them full bore. I want to come in here straight rager and just hand it to them.
Also, someone was 1 year old in the 90s.
Really? Yeah, it was me. No, not really.
Knew it.
I don't know. I'm just gonna keep turning 39.
Yeah.
From here on out.
I agree.
I'm done. I'm not gonna hit 40.
We love that.
It's not gonna happen.
We love that. I thought you were 6.
I don't, it's bad enough because there's people that listen to this shit
Uh-huh.
and they're just like, God, this guy's in his late 30s and he's doing a college podcast. He needs to figure his life out.
You know,
I'm here. I'm doing
I
it.
raise those people the question of, what are you doing?
Listening to a podcast? Or?
We're listening.
We're sitting here listening.
Okay, well, bye, guys. We will see you guys next Saturday.
Looking forward to it.